Hello and welcome everyone for this tutorial of IVP. And on this one specific, I would like to discuss about the simplified object manager capability. So this is not technically an Adobe Experience API element. So even if this is done by someone working at Adobe as I'm doing those videos, and it's done sometimes with tutorial or some documentation from Experience League, from Adobe documentation. This one is completely out of Adobe, so it does not represent Adobe standpoint, and it is not connected to Adobe in any shape or form. But I built this one directly into the aepp framework, which this series of video I am doing for enable you to be able to use that. And the simplified object manager came from a realization on my side that we need to have a better way or an easier way for people not having capability to work with deep nested arrays or objects and sometimes have hard time manipulating those things to send data to Adobe Experience Platform and from Adobe Experience Platform. Because most of the data stored in Adobe Experience Platform are object-oriented elements. So JSON representation, Parquet representation, and all of those things have nested structure that can be difficult to work with and understand how they are being built. Manipulating them is very hard, and you need to have some programming knowledge to be able to do recursive function, a recursive function to use them and manipulate them. So I created this as an abstraction version of how you can manipulate object-oriented artifact in the Python module. This is also existing in my private things for a JavaScript user interface. So if you go to PitchMuck in github.com and you see simple object manager, it's a JavaScript version of the same capability that I'm also using in Launch in Adobe Experience Platform, tags, data collection, whatever is the name. This version is the Python version of it, so you can manipulate things as objects and easily represent them without knowing so much about programming language and so on. So I'm going to give you a demo now, because talking about it will not help you understand it. So this is all the videos I've done. And now I'm going to my folder where I have all of my APIs. And for this one, I'm going to again create a Python and Jupyter. So I'm shift right click and open a terminal. And here I'm going to do a Jupyter lab setup. And here I will create a new element. So this one will be what I call is the sum for simple object manager. And for this, I will import IPP, and from IPP, I will import the sum. I don't need to load any configuration because I'm not manipulating anything from Adobe Experience Platform APIs. I'm using it on my use case mostly for manipulating payload that I want to send out or I want to receive, or I'm preparing for either IPv SDK or HTTP stream, or even sometimes you can even build batch payload. It's not an optimized version. If anyone is into Python, a very deep optimization, we can probably optimize all of those methods to run even faster. But as of today, those are, I think, working fairly well for what it is intended purpose to do is. So there is a whole documentation on this, and a very large documentation on what these kind of elements are doing, especially if you go into deep dive, you will see that we're going to assign some element and you have some expected value depending on which of the original elements are based on. So we're going to do, and there is an explanation and everything. So I'm going to do, I think example is faster than what you can read. And then you can read for more details because I'm not covering everything. But this is basically done in order to create a payload from XDM payload, for example. So I can just call my data like this. So I can do sum, and as usual, you have a class that is actually an existing class that have the same name than the module name. So I'm going to do some sum. You can, at any point in time, build the, so you can see my data as nothing now. It's just an empty dictionary that has nothing. You can at any point in time also add any attributes here. You can see that I can have any data here, which should be a dictionary or a string. For any of the JSON file, if you want to have a path, the string will be a path for a JSON file. But if I want, I can say object, and here I would say object value, something like this. And if I do that, now I will see my data is like this. That's fine. What I can also do, I can also say assign now. This is the most, and I want to say my nested object. I can use the path notation, and then actually I can say now this is going to be another value. So now I'm assigning a path to that variable, and if you look at this now, I'm going to look at my data again, and you see that I have my nested object now path actually here. In any XDM payload, you want to have a underscore ID, so I'm going to do my underscore ID. This is the ID. I can actually add that. Assign, sorry, I didn't write it correctly. So I hope you start to see what the capability of the things is. You can obviously do even more complete things. So if you want to have an assignment that are going to be now again in my nested object, I can do my nested object. And now I want to say I have another object that is going to be an array. And this is going to be, I don't know, 1, 2, 3. So it's going to automatically create, okay. It's going to automatically create all of this directly. Oh. Okay, so here I'm doing a mistake as I'm actually trying to assign it to object, which is already string value, so I cannot assign a string. That's what it's saying to me, saying string and this must be integer, not string. So I'm actually trying to assign, things. We can do that. We can overwrite. I can show you later. But now I want to just create an array. Yeah, actually, I just did that. Create an array now out of not object, but my nested. So here I could create another key value pair, and here it will now work normally. Here, it's good. And then now I can see here my array being done. The cool thing is that if you try to add another element to it, so let's say string now to it, this should not have a problem because now you are just pushing it on top of the array, so it's automatically transferred to the things. And as I said, you can of course always overwrite it. So you can see some params capability that you can add. And here, example of parameters that are available. It's a dictionary, and you can say actually overwrite, which is one of the elements that is possible to do. Type, if you want to change the type of an element. And I think this is right. And then I can do params. And now overwrite. True. I'm doing this now. And you see now array is a string. So it helps you manipulate all of the things. The really cool things as well is that you can obviously populate a JSON. Here I'm keeping it with this exact JSON, but I can actually now get the my nested elements, and here will give me whatever is in my nested. And if I want to look at my nested dot object, then it automatically get me the information available here. If I were to do a mistake, let's say my object with the lot of 2, then it will not fail of any kind, and I can actually do a default fallback, whatever. Oh, I want to have, and here it's going to give me this as a. So when you're going through and you try to read the population, the elements, you can actually get the list of this element and then just say it like this. You can also remove things. So if I can now, I want to remove my array because it's misleading, I think. If I look at my array or my nested array, here it's giving me the string. The default fallback is obviously not being done, and this is, yeah, I'm not very big fan of it. So I'm going to remove this because I don't want my array to actually not be an array. So now I can do that, and now if I look at this, it's the default fallback because this data has been removed from all of the elements. And from this, you can do all other sort of operation, which are pretty interesting. So you can actually see all of this by the tab method after the dot. You can see the stack of all of the elements that have been done. Actually, if you have populated that, I think, or this stack method is non-type. Yeah, it's just not enabled. Sorry, you have to do that later on. The stack is something that you can specify at the beginning of the instantiation. So if we are going back here, you can see there are some option available, and one of the option is the stack, and the stack is just creating an array of all of the operation in case you want to actually have all of the operation that has been done. So we can then do the stack. Oh, true. So now I'm going to redo all of these elements. And now you can actually do a list of all of the things that has been done and where they have been actually done, which operation. So it's really keep track of what has been done, and you can do a reverse if you want to. You can actually see what has been enabled here. One of the also other things that you can say, you can set a default value that you may want to have in case the things are not there. So you're going to say my default value is going to be this one. And that gives you an option to actually set up all of the elements. Everything is documented here. Every time you have a default value, then it will be provided. And the interesting thing is the two data frame operation. I think this is something that people like to have. If I do two data frame, then I will transform my object, which is now produced as this, into a data frame of only one row. Most of the time you can only have one row, but you can actually have more than one row in case you have an array of objects. So let's try to do that. So now you can actually do an assignment to a specific array, for example, my array now. And this time I will do an array of objects, so it will be an element 0. And I will continue in that assignment to build an object now. And I can actually have nested elements. So here with 0 again, and it's going to be foo. And here it's going to be bar. Oh, again, sorry for this. I'm just writing assign incorrectly. So now I'm doing this, and you can see now, if I watch my data, that I have my array, which is an array of objects that have an object key that has an array of object that has a foo key inside, and I will add another one for the sake of adding another one in the first element of this stack. And now this is going to be, I think, baz is the other one. And now if I look at it again, I have two elements, and this time, if I am doing two data frame autocomplete, I have the possibility to have it like this, which completely increase the number of element in the column. So array is it 0, object, or 1, and so forth. So those are two elements, and this is still one row, so one record. And we can also say, I believe, expand arrays now, true. And here you see they are actually, because they are actually having the same key, foo, one is bar and one is pass, now it's actually two rows, and actually you see all of those elements. Now what you miss is actually knowing a bit that those are arrays, but you can imagine doing it. This is now we are in the first element of my array, and we are in the first element of my array object here, and in the second element, and here you see what are the values here, and this is how you can build your things directly from a payload. You can flatten it in a way you want, because sometimes you do not want to have additional rows being built, because it's only one record and you want to count the element twice. So depending on how you want to structure it in the specific data frame, you can do it either way. There are other operations that you can do as well. There are the merge operation as well, and there is the toDict method, which basically is just giving you a dictionary. In case you are using the tuple or the set elements, those are going to be removed and transformed. So the toDict method will transform the tuple into a list, and the set into a list as well. So that is for the sum. I hope you will see it as a very powerful capability. I think it is way too powerful to be only in this aepp module, but let me know in the comment if you think as well, and maybe I will develop a specific module in Python to have that and have this capability to modify object in a more native way or in a more simple way than just doing recursive assignment and so on, and having something on lineage for it. Have a great rest of the day and see you on the next video.